Okay, hello everyone. Welcome to the webinar of Visual Kit, our ServiceNow store app built by Arctiv. This meeting is being recorded so that the use cases we will show and explain are there for the future and everyone interested. We will talk today about a few things. We also have a little agenda prepared. Yes, maybe I first of all start with who we are or who I am. My name is Martina. I'm the product manager at Arctiv. I manage with a team our store apps. Arctiv is a company based in Switzerland, and we transform IT solutions with our customers and just optimize everything they have. For example, their processes or digital solutions they use. And we do that based on ServiceNow, of course, always in close collaborations with the customers. Our solutions are very special. They're characterized by high performance, user friendliness, Swiss precision, and always focused on the needs and requirements of the future. We will talk about Visual Kit today, and first of all, we will give you a quick overview. So we will show the key features we implemented and explain how these key features enhance productivity. Then we will look at real-world live applications, especially customer service management and IT service management. So you will see Visual Kit live, applied into your world maybe also. We will explain how to adapt Visual Kit for specific workflows and scenarios that will happen in step 3. And we will have also prepared how to access Visual Kit, maybe how to look at frequent questions we had in the past, and also where to find more information about the application. Okay, so first of all, we will start with a few things that you need to know about Visual Kit. It's a certified ServiceNow store app. It includes without any limitations into your ServiceNow platform. So it's very reliable. You have a complete view of all data that helps because you already have everything stored in ServiceNow. In addition of Visual Kit, you can really get the maximum out of your data. It's simple data handling, so you can use Visual Kit to get a look of complex connections between data sets. And that's probably something you have in your ServiceNow platform anyways. So Visual Kit is not only reliable, but helps also with simple data handling. It's very efficient because, first of all, as certified store app, it's very easily installed and accessible in your platform, but it also helps to clear structures and make it easier to work with informations you have. So you will get quicker through your data, quicker through your processes with the help of Visual Kit. And maybe one step back, we didn't talk about transparency yet. Also a big topic because of this data handling and also the reliability you get with Visual Kit, it makes everything very transparent. So the overview helps to also get to know your data a bit better and maybe in some places even see if something is wrong with the data or it doesn't make any sense. Visual Kit helps with that as well. Visual Kit does that with 3 bigger features we implemented. So goodbye data chaos and clarity in an instant. For example, with the tree. So the tree displays your data hierarchically across any number of levels, simply and clearly. You see that in that screenshot, and we will also see it in the demo. There are no limitations. The more data, the better. You will always get a structured tree with also colors and actions and information that will be provided on these data sets. Timeline is the second one. You can visualize your current interlinked processes on an unlimited timeline and get a clear overview of the status. So here as well, no limitation. You have your data, your depending relationships, and you can show how these relationships work based on a timeline. We will see that more clearly in the demo, but as well here you see the different colors. These are processes, for example, or also events that happened that are displayed on a timeline. Actually, in this screenshot, there are even two timelines, one in the top and the other one at the bottom. So you can also compare timelines and use that data in many ways. The third feature is the scorecard. The scorecard summarizes information from large amounts of data and creates an overview based on various features from different data sets. So what you see here is actually summarized what data is mentioned in a list. So for example, company computer summary, you see how many devices you have. And we can display this one with as count with numbers or in percentage. So that makes it also easier to get a very quick overview on what you even have in your system. To make it easier for you maybe to understand how these features work in the real life, we have Tom and Lisa with a few problems they face in their daily work. So Tom is an ITSM expert. He's responsible for resolving IT issues across the team. And right now, a team member encounters internet connectivity problems that prevent access to essential resources. Tom must act quickly to identify the cause and restore access. So basically, Tom has a lot of data he would need to go through to solve the problem, and VisualKit will help him with that. Lisa, on the other hand, is a customer service manager. Soon, a customer will contact her to inquire about an ongoing order, and Lisa needs to respond quickly to ensure customer satisfaction and maintain trust. With many more inquiries waiting, efficient handling is essential to keep service levels high. So here again, a lot of data, a lot of stress for Tom and for Lisa to handle these issues quickly. Okay. We have prepared for Tom and Lisa a very nice solution with VisualKit so that they can solve their cases faster and smarter. In the demo, you will see the tree and the scorecard with Tom's ITSM case and the timeline and the tree with Lisa's customer service management issue. So right now, I would like to give the word to Emmanuel. He is our developing expert and the one who will guide you through the live demo.
Thank you very much, Martina, for the introduction. So I think we can dive into it. First of all, if you install VisualKit, you should have the application menu of VisualKit. So like through this application menu, you can then make your configurations and relationships. The way how VisualKit works is that every visualization needs a configuration. So I've prepared already a bare bone or like a minimal example, which we will then extend in our demo. For example, this is the problem overview tree. The first contact you make with an actual tree is directly inside the configuration, where we can see, for example, which relationships already exist, and we can interact through the tree. This is like general description and for which table we want to build our visualization. which record you want to preview. And here on the bottom, you will see, like in related lists, the different relationships we can build. So first of all, we have simple relationships. These are used for direct references. For example, incident is directly linked to a problem. If they are maybe with an M2M relationship, then we would use an M2M relationship. For like user and groups, which are grouped by the sysuser group. And advanced relationships gives you the power to query any data you want. For example, emails by a specific email address. All right. Then we have action highlight styles and identifier styles, which we'll see later on in the demo. So to start off, let's just preview the tree so we can see what is currently already configured. So we see our preview record, the problem 4001. We have a relationship for incident suggestions, a change, and a router. So let's go ahead and just add incidents to our problem. For this, we will need to create a new relationship. So we just hit new. Let's give it a name. Let's say the problem incidents. We apply the found records directly to our base record. Now we need in the configuration to say, how do we load this data? So first of all, from where do we start? In this case, it's our root. So it's the problem table. Then we can say, okay, what data do we want to load? In this case, our incidents. And then we can say, how are these data mapped to each other? So in our incident, we have a problem field, which is a direct reference to our problem. So now in the display, we can say, okay, what do we want to display? Let's say the number and the short description of our incidents. If we go ahead and save it, once we reload the tree, we now see our incidents. We see the number and the short description, and we already see some additional information. These here are highlighted values. I've already created the value for the assigned to user. So we can go ahead and add some additional values which would be usable for our problem. So let's go back to our configuration. Let's go here. And now we can just say we want a new highlight style. Let's give you the name. This is the incident state. For which table we want to apply is for the incident. Let's go leave it for now for always. I use field value. What do we want to show? We want to show the state. And let's say we select the color blue. So now once we save this, if we reload, we will see that we now have our state also as blue. Now, if you would like to make it more user-friendly or like the colors to mean something, we can start adding simple conditions. Let's say what states do we have? So we have currently a new and in progress states. So we can say that we want to display the state only for new records. So new records will be blue. Now if we save it, we can see in our tree that this one has no longer any state in the highlighted style. So we can then now add here for the in progress. We just change the condition to in progress, and we can give it now a different color. Let's say just magenta, insert and stay, so we don't lose the previous configuration. And if we reload it, we now see that new is still blue and in progress is magenta. Now we can play with the order to like always have it at the back or at the front. Let's just increase it. All right, so now we see that the state is correctly on the right. New is blue, magenta is in progress, and we can continue this for any other states we want. We can also show like priority, critical incidents in red, or moderate incidents in orange. So, all right. Now, what I want also to show you, you will see here at the problem, we have like a route with an exclamation mark, and the incident also has an icon. But we see that our other elements don't have any. So this we can configure through our identifier styles. Back to our configuration, at the bottom, we will see identifier styles. I already created one for the problem and one for the incident. So let's continue, let's hit new. Let's make the icon for our change request. So now we need to specify which table. We want the change request table. And then in the icons, we can see here, we have a direct link to the icon component library. Make sure to select the correct version of your instance. And let's just take this one. We hit here copy name. We insert the correct name inside. We save it. And once we reload our tree, we'll see now that the change also has an icon. So we need to configure this for any elements or any table we reference through our tree. And here you will see like that I created an incident suggestions. And you will see that it is like a sub tree or like has child elements. So you can achieve that simply by, let's go to the correct relationship, to our incident suggestions. We can here say, instead of append to record, we make a separate relationship and we can provide a label. So we can like have a sub relationship in our tree. And you will here see already two incidents. What these incident suggestions do, I've prepared an example for matching problem or like keywords from our problem with other incidents. So we can directly see maybe there are some other incidents which would also be matched or like have a matching with our problem. So for this, we will go back. I've prepared here like the table. For now, let's delete the entries we have. And I will show our first interaction with the tree. So if we reload, we have no suggestions. I've prepared here an action, which will, in the background, try to find matching incidents for our problem. So if you click it, you will see that we now created again those two suggestions which we had previously. Currently, you will just see, or let me first show you how this looks like. With here suggestion, which we can approve or decline. So we have already fixed UI actions to either approve the incident, so the incident is mapped to the problem, or to decline this suggestion. Now I can do this through the form, but if you see in the tree, I currently just have the decline and the open button. If I want to interact directly through the tree, I would have to create another action. So let's go back to our actions, hit new, give it the name approve, the label, let's give it the same. Now we need an icon again. We go back to our page and there should be a check icon. We add that icon. Now we can say for which table. I will just copy the table name from here so I don't have to type it. So on our table, we will always show it. And, or let's say simple condition, active is true. So we don't show it for suggestions which are already processed. We want the UI action and we want the approve UI action. So if we save this action, once we reload our tree, we will see that we now have also our approve. So if I go ahead and say the incident with ending number 2, I will approve this one. Then I also see it's linked to the problem, and the next time I reload it, we will see it on the top. So no longer as a suggestion, since it's no longer active. And the incident is also mapped to the problem. And maybe you notice I already added for this one, we have a highlighted value. to note that this incident is already linked to a problem. So by this information, I can maybe already decide, okay, I want to decline this one since it's already linked, or I can have a view edit first. So now we have no longer any open suggestions. So this would be an example for our tree. Now this tree, we currently worked with it just through our preview. So if you go back here, I've pre-configured this module to open the configuration, so I don't have to look it up. If you look at it from here, let's say we want to add it directly to the form. So we will open this problem and we will see the problem form currently just has the details and some related list, as many of us are used to. And if you want to include it directly, we just have to create the formatter for it. So it just will pre-populate the name. We can just hit submit. And now if you go to our problem, we can say configure form layout. Let's just edit this in global. If we look for our simple tree problem overview, let's put it at the top. So it shows even before the process flow. If we save it, now we see that the tree is loaded inside our form with the data we just previously showed. You can also maximize it so you have a better overview. And notice I've made here some open actions. So in this case, if I just want to have a look at this incident, I can just hit open and I get directly to the incident form. So I no longer need to search it in the related lists. And exactly, this gives me more power within the form. What we could also do is add an additional action to assign the incident to me, to close the incident, maybe based on the state it's currently in. So the actions can be anything besides just record updates, redirects, or even API calls. The tree is not limited to the form only. So the tree or any visualization can be shown also in the customer portal and also within the UI builder, which means also inside workspaces, since workspaces are built on the UI builder. I also have an example for this. I've prepared here a workbench where we load our problem. And this now gives us a great opportunity to directly work with our incidents. So I've prepared here to a resizable panel. On the right, we have our form. And now anytime we interact with one of our incident, we directly open the form of the incident. So through UI Builder, you can include this component and also the actions. And you have actions like what happens if you click an incident or a record, what happens if you click an action. And you will see that I also prepared the timeline on the bottom. So you can also make those components dependent on each other. So let's say if I open this timeline, I can see in the timeline the details of the currently selected incident. So for now, we see here the timeline start date. The end date is not set yet. This is why it's faded out. And I've made some information based on the state changes or changes in the priority. So we see these different incidents have different state changes. I think none of them is closed yet. Now maybe we will find it confusing in the timeline to have the state and progress and everything like in different colors. Maybe we want to have matching colors. So we see always the state in blue or the critical priority in red, the high in moderate. So let's go and edit our timeline. The timeline works exactly the same as the tree. We also have our configuration. We also have our relationships, our highlight styles, and so on. So I've created here a relationship for the incident. Exactly, this one just shows the start, open, and closed date of our incident. You can also directly see that what will happen if the date 2 is empty. We just add a day to today. So this is why our 3 previously, let's go just preview. Our 3 just adds, or our timeline just adds 1 day and then has the fade out container. So you can handle it by here. Maybe you want to add a year, depending on the timeline. You want to add multiple days or even just some minutes. You can do this via advanced script. So you just need to return a glide date time. So you can specify any time period you want. Okay, but let's go to our advanced relationship. So maybe some of you are familiar with it. If you have an incident, you can see the history through the list. So now we can see, okay, at what time, what field changed, let's say the priority. So we can say it was initially created as critical, but then changed to high. So we made use of this history, audit histories, through our relationship. So I've created an advanced relationship already, which loads from our incident our history lines. I've made a filter for what fields are interesting to us, and this one will just always display the new value which was set. So good. So our Swiss history line is the relevant table for our configuration. So let's go ahead and let's say we want our state to always show in blue. So we make a new highlight style. We say our history, or just let's say state. Our table is our history line. We want to display it only if the field is state. This information is found in the history, so we can just also add the field next to the label. So we will see which field is used. So now for every state field, we apply this highlight style. So here now we can put any hexadecimal or RGB value. So let's just get to a color picker. So we have a correct color. Let's take this blue. Now we say we already preview the color. If we save it and we reload our timeline. So now you can see the state changes are always blue. We could go on and also say for critical. Let's just make it for now. Let us quickly add another highlight style, which we go ahead and say state, priority high. I'll just give it number 1. Again, this is history line. Display always. Color, we can also put string in red. So now you need to also make the filters, else everything would be red. Field is, let me look it up. Field is priority. And new is too high. I think this is just a display value. Let me quickly check. Yeah, here we see new value is 2. So let's go by the new value. So the new value is 2. Then we want it to be red. Now if we go ahead and save this, let's reload our timeline. Exactly. So now we have on the too high the red color. So we could configure this style for any priority we want, any state changes. We could also add, if the assignment group is changing, then we want this one to be in green. So we can add all data related to our incident in our one timeline. Now, if we go back to our workbench, let's just reload it. So now if we select any incident, we will see that the timeline is rendered correspondingly to the data within the incident. Here also we see new in blue, the state in high, the priority in high. So this would be one ITSM example where you through one view can see which incidents are related to this problem, what change is already existing. You can see affected configuration items. So you could build as much relationships as you want. And in the tree, you can also make nested relationships. So you can also load additional data to our configuration item or to the incident. The timeline is only time-based, so we just have one axis. We can add multiple timelines if we want to split the data. But for this example, we will keep it simple and just make this timeline. So now let's go ahead and let us see our second use case. For this, I made also timeline and a scorecard for our customer. I already prepared again some relationships for Julie Lewis. What we want to see are cases and interactions with our customer. So let's just hit preview. So here we can see different cases. I've made the display value just a number and a short description. We can see one case is still open. The other ones are closed since they have no fade out. We can see our today mark. So we can in one timeline see our customer history, how long have cases been open, which one is currently still open. Now let's go ahead. In the timeline, we also have the possibility to have a display or like hover or mouse over value. So you will see here in the timeline, if I currently just mouse over the record, I just see the number. So let's go ahead and let's put some additional information inside. So we go to our relationship. You see I've already prepared it, commented out. Let's just put it in. Here you see you can specify custom HTML, which will be rendered on mouse over. So I've already just made a div wrapper and added information like resolved by, resolution code, and resolution nodes for our data which we have. So like we load inside the current display value of the resolved by, of the resolution code and the closed node. So if we just save this one, and this is the wrong one, here is our timeline. If we reload the timeline, now you can see that on mouse over, we get additional information to this case. This information can be anything. You can load also, or like make queries to different data and show a list of affected items or similar cases. So for our case, we just made the resolution nodes, but you will notice here, if I open an not closed case, we get empty values, null. So maybe this is something we want to avoid. So in this case, we can simply just say, we first check if it's even closed. So let's just say if current dot hit value of our resolution code, then we return what we have currently. But if we don't have a resolution code yet, then let's just return again the current get display value. This will return just a number. So we've made our mouse over text complete. If I reload, so you will see on this one, I still see just a number, but the other one, which are already closed and have a valid resolution code, I will get the state. This here is a interaction. So this one, of course, does not have the same mouse over text. But currently the timeline just displays data. So you notice if I click on it, nothing is happening. So we can add to the timeline also actions for opening records. So let's go ahead, navigate to our configuration, actions. We hit new, we just give it a name, open. And you will see that our action time is open record. We have a URL which we will open. So dynamically, we will insert the record table and the record sysID. But you can change the URL. Let's say you are using a customer portal. You can here add any prefix like CSM and then page. So you can navigate wherever you want, including that record table and the record sysID. If we leave the table empty, the action is applied to all relationships. So this is exactly what we want. We want to open all records currently in our timeline. So if we save it and we reload our timeline, now if I with control or command click on the item, I will navigate directly to the case. So now, again, through the timeline, I can get directly to the right interaction I want. So if the customer is calling, I can, through the timeline, navigate to the right interaction, to the right case. I don't have to look up the data I need within the record or related lists. Now, all right. Here in the action, maybe you noticed we have the show open icon. Maybe if you don't want to use control or command, you can include this checkbox. So now any item which has the action also will have this button. So now you can make basically the same output just by clicking this opening icon. All right. Now back to our configuration. You will see I've already prepared a scorecard and a work order, so different scorecard. But let's just go to our workbench again for CSM. So you will see I have here a list of customers, contacts. I have two different scorecards, and the timeline we just saw. And let's say that Louis is calling. So if I select the contact, I will see all data based on this contact. I can see how many incidents are there with the score count, which, as we heard previously from Martina, is a summarization visualization. So we can see, okay, we have two closed incidents. One is resolved and one awaiting info. We can see what work orders are there and in which priority. So the state, so grouped by state and priority. And we can see the timeline which we previously configured with our opening icons. So also through here, through this UI Builder page, we can still get the action working. Okay, so maybe you notice the scorecard currently are just white and black. So let's just make it a little bit more user-friendly by adding also some highlight styles. And for this, let's go to our incident scorecard. And we can say, for example, all closed incidents should be gray. So we go here, we add highlight styles, new. Let's say all closed incidents. Simple condition, state is closed. Then we want to add the color. I think this should be gray. Exactly. So we will add just the color gray to all closed incidents. Let's just save it. Reload our component. Okay, it's not applied yet. Maybe I did something wrong with the grouping. All right, I used incidents. Sorry, my mistake. These are, of course, cases, not incidents. So the table was not matching. Of course, the color is not applied. Let's go back to our highlight styles and choose the correct table. This is our customer case. State is closed. Save. Okay, so now we will see that the color is applied. We can go ahead and make the same for state is resolved. Let's just also apply the name resolved. Display, let's say lime green, I think is one color. Certain stay. So we can also see resolved is green, awaiting info. We could also add any color we want. But we will notice that our scorecard currently is just summarizing, but maybe I want to interact with the data behind it. So we can go back to our configuration and also add here an action for opening the records. So I'll also give it a name, open. You will also see here a different URL for the table list and with the query. Query will dynamically be the query for this group we created. So we can also say, okay, no table, so it applies for every record. We just save it. Now let's reload our tree. And if I again control click on the record, you should see two cases, both are closed. Or we can navigate to the one which is resolved. So we will go to the list with the one case which is resolved. So now we can go ahead and add the same functionality to our work orders. I go back to our configuration. Also add here a new action. Also open. Here we don't need to change anything yet. So let's go back to our workbench, reload. And now we can also here through click navigate to the draft work orders or to the two awaiting info which are critical. What we can also do is that we say, okay, all critical ones we want always to be red. So we can go back to our configuration, add another highlight style, hit new, critical for our order, for our work orders, simple condition where priority is one critical, display red, save. And now we can see they are red. So now you noticed, okay, the close complete critical is also red, which probably, since it's close complete, would not be necessary. So we can just add another filter by saying state is not closed. Or even simpler with the active flag, active is true. So any closed item should not be active anymore. This should work for our coloring. Exactly. So now you see close complete is gray or black again. We could continue also adding like green colors for closed or gray out. I think you get how the styling is applied. And maybe we want to show another data inside our timeline. You will notice we have currently only the cases and the interactions, but maybe the customer is complaining about an email he received. So let's go ahead and add the emails to our timeline. We go to our configuration. Just for now, I will open the sys email table. You will see that Julie Lewis already has some emails, but you will notice that the recipient is only an email. So the sys email does not have a direct link to our customer. So not by reference, just by email. So for this, we will need an advanced relationship. Create new. Let's say customer emails. For which table you want to load it, for the sys email table. Okay. And now we need to provide a valid query which will be applied. And let's continue and say, let's just add it here. We see our recipients is, we can just copy the query. put it inside. Now, of course, you don't want the value hard-coded. So our contact is our current object since it is our parent. So we can make use of that information by inserting current get value of the email. Let me quickly check how the email is saved on the contact. So we will navigate to the contact. We will see here, okay, the field is called email on our contact. So we can just say get value of email. Now, fit items is all right. We can also specify a specific time period. So we maybe don't want to show emails from 5 years ago, but just emails from the last year or 1 day ago. But for now, we will leave it to fit items. Display, we can say we want to have the subject of the email displayed. And whenever the email was created is our start date or the from date of our data. Okay, so we will hit save on this one. And now if we go back to our timeline, I think we have it here open. We now see the emails also. Here, the survey invitation. Let's just add maybe this emails as a separate relationship. So we can make another relationship called emails. We can save this one. Now, if we reload all of our timelines, you will notice they're no longer here, but we have a second relationship for emails. And here we have our work order tasks and the survey invitation case has been closed. But you notice we have different timestamps. So these are created today, but here we have data from throughout the last year or this year. So we can hit sync time periods. So now if I scroll one data, all timelines are scrolled to the exact same duration. So this helps me through navigating through this data to always show like matching time periods of my timelines. All right, maybe we can add a last example for our cases, or let's go ahead and add it to the emails. The timeline also allows to add highlight identifier styles. So we can go ahead to our timeline and let's say email icon. Let's add for all our sys emails. Always. Let's choose a correct icon. I think envelope outline. So we can add the icon name, save it. Back to our timeline. If we reload it, you will now notice we have the email and the open action. We could remove the action for this table. So then we would have only the email. So let's go ahead and remove at least the icon. So then only our email icon is shown and it looks smooth. So now we see only our email icons, and if we hover, we can see the text. If we then control click, the open action is still available. So we get directly to our email record and we can hit preview email. So we can also directly see what emails did our customer receive and can thus solve the issue much faster than navigating manually to the emails. All right, I think that's enough input from me. I think you saw the use cases. So we created like 2 experiences. This can be anything you could imagine. So it's not limited to ITSM or CSM. So you could make any table or any data you have and visualize it through a tree for hierarchical data, or visualize it as a timeline for time-based data, or summarize through our scorecard. Okay.
Perfect.
Then
Thank you.
I give back to Martina. So let me start the presentation again. All right.
Perfect. Thank you so much, Emmanuel. I think we got some help for Tom and for Lisa. Tom, who needed to see the problems and maybe connected suggestions we had for that problem, and for Lisa to get all the information on their CSM case. Perfect. Thank you. So for everyone wondering right now how to proceed and what is going to happen, if you want to get started with Visual Kit, you can first of all download the free test version. This test version is available on your development instance for 3 months. So you could really try to solve your use cases with Visual Kit. After that, or during that, we offer you a free no strings attached demo in which we analyze your customer needs and we help to demonstrate or to maybe highlight what the real value of Visual Kit is for your particular cases. After that, you are free to purchase the Visual Kit license. This license is for 12 months. You do that directly in the ServiceNow store, so it's very easily handled through the store, no complications or whatsoever in that process. We are also, of course, always available to provide you with support or advice so that you always get the maximum out of the app. If you have any further questions to anything or anytime in one of these processes, we are, of course, here to assist you. Please do not hesitate to contact us. We are very happy to help, but also see your creativity and anything you make out of Visual Kit, because there are really no limitations, as Emmanuel said. Try it, and if you have questions, reach out. Yeah, there is also more that Arctiv developed in the last few years. So if you want to explore our apps, feel free to do so. They're all in the ServiceNow App Store, Portal Pro, to improve your service portal and get a few features which are not in the standard platform. No-code PDF to efficiently create dynamic PDFs in your individual corporate design. This is really a huge benefit you can get out of a store app. Deployment guide and DevOps utils are very loved helpers in our own projects we do with our customers. Deployment guide helps to document implementations, so we always know what's happening on which instance, when and by whom. And DevOps utils accelerates operation with real-time status monitoring, so it helps us with things like logging or translations and stuff like that. So very hands-on application we also use in our projects. Yeah, I think that was it. Thanks so much for joining, or at least watching. We are here to help you out with any of these apps. And like I said, always feel free to reach out. Thank you so much. See you next time. Bye-bye.
Bye.